139 horrible days. That's how long Hamas has held hostages. And now NBC News has an exclusive interview with a former Israeli hostage whose husband is still held captive in Gaza. Aviva Siegel and her husband Keith were kidnapped from a kibbutz in southern Israel on October 7th. 51 days later, she was among the 105 hostages released during the November truce. But for Keith, an American Israeli born and raised in the U.S., and everyone who loves him, there is no relief. NBC's Molly Hunter spoke with Aviva, and she joins me now. What did she tell you about her experience in captivity and her efforts, unrelenting, to free her husband?
Unrelenting is exactly right, Chris. Aviva Siegel has been working every single day since her release in November to advocate for the release of all the hostages and for her husbands. And what we spoke about today a lot was the frustration, the growing frustration with the Siegel family, with the families of other American hostages, with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on his focus to continue the war effort for what they say is his political survival and not prioritizing the survival of their loved ones. Now, they think on the flip side, Chris, that the Biden administration sees them and hears them. And so when U.S. Middle East envoy Brett McGurk was in town today meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and other Israeli officials, he also met with the families of the American hostages, including Aviva Siegel. Now, she described her harrowing 51 days. She talked about the hell that she endured, and she talked about what Keith is still enduring. Take a listen.
Can you describe that day when you were walked down to a tunnel? Stairs, ladder?
It was dark, and we were very scared. We didn't know where they're going to take us. We went down 40 meters down, lots and lots of steps. It took us quite a while walking there, feeling that there's no air for us to breathe.
Pitch black,
Pitch
no
black,
air.
no air. There was a toilet with no water. We couldn't even wash our hands, with nothing there, with hardly no food at all and no water at all, with no oxygen. One of the days, after 4 days, one of the Hamas person came down while he could hardly breathe because they didn't stay with us. They went up.
They left you in the tunnel.
They just
and they went
left us in the tunnel, and they just left us there to die because that's what we felt.
She talks about how they were held above ground, below ground, very little food, very little water. They were moved 13 times, and they were mostly held together. She also told me about a moment which she says, Chris, will stick with her forever. A young girl who she was held with for a little while came out of the bathroom one day and approached Aviva and told her that he, referring to their armed Hamas captor, touched me. And Aviva described this girl as being too young to ever have been touched before. Now, Aviva, and you were showing these pictures earlier, has testified about sexual violence in front of the Israeli Knesset. But this is something she is very worried about for the girls and women who are still there. But as you said, she is unrelentingly working every single day to convince the Israeli government to really act and really start prioritizing the freeing and the release of Keith and the other hostages. Chris?
No one can speak more powerfully to it than those who have been there. Molly Hunter, thank you for that.